impact, how you have been, your personal experience, how you have been tackling it, like the entire, off routine working
Yeah.
hours and everything. You can give an insight, small insight about the same, and then
Basically, the impact has been like a two-pronged impact. It has been both on a personal front and a professional front. So, on the first of all, talking about the professional life, so as everybody is seeing nowadays, what is going the footage coming in on all the TV channels. So yeah, the work hours had been really crazy. So actually, the work where I work is divided into three shifts. So it is basically 8 hours per shift, and of course that also depends upon if the other workers are not infected. Because if they get infected, so your shifts get increased. Plus, the most difficult one is always the night shift, because apart from fighting the sleep and the tiredness of the day, you also have to be on your toes at all times. So yeah, that takes a toll on your health also. And apart from this, for example, I am a surgeon, so I have been diverted from my normal job of performing surgeries to looking after sick people who are suffering from COVID. So basically our training has not been in this field to that extent to which the anesthetists or the intensivists or the medicine people are trained. So it is like we have to take a step back and learn certain things and then come back. So that has been a shift in the professional life. And on a personal front, of course, then you have to come back home. So you have to be like very vigilant that you do not bring the infection back, especially with the current strain going on, which is highly infective. And apart from this, you have to be like very vigilant whenever you take off your mask, where you take off your mask, where you take your food, because sometimes you have to eat on your duties. And so all those things, though, they both of these, in fact, they just add stress. And stress, as you know, is something that lowers your immunity. Immunity, that has been the key word for like last 1 year.
true, true. It's truly like phenomenal the service you have been providing, like balancing everything, balancing the act, basically going off limits, and taking care of yourselves, taking care of families, and then taking care of so many people. It's real seriously very much commendable. So yeah, moving ahead, I wanted to know that you talked about the current strain, and we all know we are currently in the second wave. So it is predicted that very soon a third wave is going to come. And what do you have to say about it? Like, what is supposed to do? Like, as we all know the basics, right? Stay at home and all those things, like
Yeah.
wear mask and everything. So what is your advice?
Hmm.
A call of plea or something like that to the general people, that still people are making a lot of mistakes, still they are making a lot of like they are doing a lot of things wrong, because of which the healthcare workers have to suffer. That is why the cases are increasing and
Hmm.
increasing. So what is your say on this? What would you like to request or put a plea to people? And how about a third wave? What is your say on that?
So, as far as mistakes are concerned, I think to err is human. So that is very basic that we all make mistakes. But first of all, we'll go back and just get a basic understanding of all the what is a wave in a pandemic. So basically, the waves, what they have defined is what throughout the years, throughout the centuries, all the pandemics that have been recorded, it has been seen that they come in waves. What we are currently seeing, first wave, second wave, and what they say might be a third or a fourth wave, something like that. So from the ancient times, right from the time when the plagues ravaged through Europe or the Spanish flu ravaged throughout the world during the World War I, and right now currently to the COVID-19, it has been observed that the pandemic comes in waves. So what actually is a wave is like first wave is obviously the infection is spreading for the first time throughout the world, so cases will increase. That constitute the first wave. So there is a, for example, like a wave, it goes up then comes down. So what makes it come down? So the things that may make it come down, the number of cases that come down, is because number one, inherent immunity is developed among the population. Number two, the people start following all the protocols suddenly. When they see people dying, they suddenly start wearing masks, start practicing social distancing. That takes the cases down. Number three, the medical science comes up with new medicines and new procedures to take down the death rate. Number four, the various restrictions that are imposed on travel and all, they take the cases down. And over the time, as they are relaxed, so things go back to the old self. And as a virus, the inherent property of a virus, property as a life cycle of the virus means it has to mutate. That is its only mean of survival. So over the time, it mutates, changes form, becomes a new virus. Although we call it the same virus, but because the basic characteristics are the same, but it basically becomes a new thing. It becomes a new one. So when it comes, it achieves a critical mass, and once a critical mass is achieved, it starts dividing, spreading exponentially. So initially, it is a linear spread from 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and suddenly it becomes exponential 4 to 16, 16 to 32, 32 to 64. So when that comes, that constitutes a wave. So it has been seen that in the past times, the pandemics have come in 3 or 4 waves. So basically, the defining of a wave is on a previous experiences that the human civilization has faced. So that is why they predict that there might be a third wave, because the most recent pandemic of 1918, the Spanish flu influenza, that was in 3 waves. So that
Okay.
is why there is always a talk of a third wave. And
Okay.
as far as the errors that we are committing, that are, I think, in the last 1.5 year, that is for everyone to see what errors we are committing. So the basic error is simple: not maintaining social distancing, number one. And of course, that is very impossible. I think in a country like India with more than 130 crore
True.
people,
True.
it is impossible to maintain social distancing, especially when each of our festival, even our greeting styles, hugging everyone.
True.
So
True.
these are the things that are embedded in our social structure. So it is very difficult to maintain social distancing. That is number one. But if you can't maintain social distance, the least thing you can do is just wear a mask. It is just going to cover your nose and mouth, and may prove, I think, life saving for you, for those around you. So it's better than to wear a mask and suffer a minor inconvenience rather than going into ICU and suffering a major inconvenience with a ventilator tube down your throat.
True, very true, very true. So, one more thing I would like to ask you, like, so we have seen that a lot of people with comorbidities also have recovered, as it is said that people with comorbidities are affected the most, but they have recovered too. We
Mhm.
come across articles where, 90-year-old, 95 years old with comorbidities have recovered. So, how is that happening? So, what are the things they are doing right, or how is it? Is it about the human body that which varies from one to another? So, what is basic thing behind it?
Yeah. So the nature of a nature and the nature of universe is unpredictability. Because if it was so predictable to be predicted by mathematical models, I think every disease would have been eradicated by now. But it is not so. Every human is different. Every cell of each human is different, and the interaction it has with the outside world is different. For example, if you and I, if we take just two people, how we talk to somebody, we both might be different. How we deal with certain situation, that might be different.
True,
If
very
we
true.
are so different even in our overt characteristics, so just imagine the mind-boggling level at which each and every cell might be different from each other. So
True.
that is why different results are got in different people. For example, you say a 90-year was saved. Of course, we have read the news where a 3 or 4 year old child died.
True,
So these
true,
are like the variabilities of nature.
true.
But even then, the statisticians and the mathematicians over the years, they have tried to put a graph, but try to put a picture to all this nonsense that is going on. And the single thing that has always come out is a bell-shaped curve, or the Gaussian curve that we study. So what it means is like 98% of the population will respond to a certain thing in a certain predicted manner. But there
Okay,
will always be about 2 to 4% that will always be outside,
okay,
either on one end or on the other end. So those 2 to 4% are known as the outliers. So those outliers are the ones who are the 110-year-old getting okay, and a 20-year-old healthy running male or a bodybuilder dying. So those are the outliers. And these outliers are the basic fact of life, because these are embedded into each and every mathematical model. So that is the rule of nature. Okay.
okay,
So first thing is that. So the second thing about comorbidities, as you said. So one of the things is like people are saying he didn't have diabetes, he still died. He was a young male, he still died. People fail to understand that comorbidity doesn't only refer to the disease that you're suffering from, either be it hypertension or diabetes or cancer or whatever you might be thinking. There are social comorbidities also, especially in countries like India. Being a poor person living in poverty is a comorbidity in itself. So it doesn't mean that a poor person who might not have had a good food in last 2 years, he's a comorbid person, even though he might not have diabetes or hypertension. So those things are I think overlooked in the plethora of information about diabetes and steroids and all that. Because India is basically a poor country who lives in an agrarian society. So those comorbidities, those are forgotten.
Very true. Very true. Okay, so moving on, I would like to come to your field of expertise and ask you like a simple question about how your field has been affected. Like, you owing to the pandemic, like this goes for all field, but since you specialize in orthopedic, you are orthopedic.
Yep.
So basically, it is like, how the people who are generally affected by, anything relating to orthopedic have been suffering for this because, you have been keeping busy as you already told. Similarly, all other people
Yeah.
from their own fields have been keeping busy. So firstly this, and then secondly, is there anything which is, something like this, that people have come to the hospital for one purpose and they have got affected, and so how much is that happening, like what is the case scenario over
Hmm.
there?
So just like everything in the world is not exactly black and white, even this has a gray zone. The question that you have asked, because there have been positive effects also. Because no matter how much we told people that walking is good for you, taking care of the health is good for you, decreasing your weight is good for you, I think it always falls on deaf ears, especially in India where they say "Abhi do hi roti khate hain." So they
Very
don't
true.
say that they take 10 cups of
Hmm.
teas along
Hmm.
with it. So COVID pandemic has made it very clear that if your body is not healthy, you're gonna die one day. And in COVID pandemic, it has been like being shown on TV at all times, bombarded with information about weight management, diabetes, and all that. So people have started taking care of themselves. Number one. And number two, of course, the aspect that you have said about the people suffering from orthopedic injuries and orthopedic conditions who are not able to reach out to us. Of course, because being a surgical branch, a patient suffering from fracture cannot be treated at home,
True.
right?
Very true.
Cannot be
Very
treated
true.
on WhatsApp. If he needs surgery, he needs surgery.
True. Very
So one of the things that I have observed in the last 1 year is that during lockdown periods, the number of trauma cases have drastically reduced, drastically to, in fact, in the last 1 month, we have got zero admission in trauma. So I think the the factors that we always contribute to it are number one, the night lockdown, and number two, the lockdown of the all these shops that are selling liquor, because these are the two things that combined together will result in an accident. So that is one
very
aspect.
true. Very
The
true.
second aspect that you have referred to is like there have been certain people who have come in with trauma and need urgent surgery, and on COVID testing they have come out to be positive. But that doesn't mean anything to us, because if he needs operation, we will do go in for surgery. So
Very
we put on PPEs, we put on our respirators, we take the full precautions. There are separate OTs now which are designated for COVID positive patient, and we do the surgery. That is no problem. Even I have done, I think, 2 or 3 surgeries in the last 1 year on, because there are certain people who can wait for a week or so, so you can make them wait. But there are certain injuries that you cannot wait. So for those, you have to go in. So
true.
it is not much a issue as it is made, because if you take full protection, you are protected. The only problem is wearing a PPE in a 45 degrees Celsius environment for 6 hours.
True.
That is the
True.
main problem.
True. True. True.
So if you have to wear it for 1 or 2 hours, of course, I think every doctor is habitual to such discomfort living in India and working in India. So that is not a big problem. The other thing, though, that has been like detrimental is people with chronic problems. For example, 80% of our OPD patients are old people who are suffering from, of course, the most common one, the lower backache, and such related symptoms like arthritis. People who are on chronic diseases like rheumatoid arthritis who need regular checkups like weekly or monthly referrals so that we can continue monitoring. People who have got tuberculosis of the bones who need weekly or monthly checkups, MRIs for over a year to monitor their progress, because even a single change may lead to surgery and a single factor may lead them to recovery. So, of course, those patients are suffering. They are suffering silently at home, but what can they do?
But really you are walking the extra mile to care for the patients, those in need, and forgetting that they are COVID patient. Like today, if I come to know that so and so is COVID positive, and I will, like, deter going near that person at any, like, at any case. But you have to always, like, being healthcare professionals, you need to walk that extra mile and do that bit. That is why, we all need to thank you, and huge respect to you for the same. So yeah, we are
So
almost
the thing
nearing.
that you have said, I would like to point out one thing.
Yeah.
So I was taking a lecture of my postgraduate students. So there were like 4 students who I was teaching, and we were teaching just in a room. So I was sitting on one side of the table, and they were sitting on the other side of the table. We all were wearing N95. So I was teaching them, and the class continued for about 1.5 hours. We were sitting at a distance of about 2 to 3 feet for those 1.5 hours in a closed room. All of us were wearing N95 though. So over the course of next 2 days, all four of them turned out to be positive, one way or the other. Okay. So, but and then I underwent the test, so I was negative. And then I got retested, and I was still negative. So that goes along from a personal experience to say, if you are wearing N95 mask, you will not be infected. That is very simple fact. If you are wearing a N95 that covers your nose properly, that forms a seal with your nose, covers your chin, you will not be infected even if you are in a close contact of a COVID positive patient. Although the same cannot be said for the mask that people currently wear, the cloth mask, because rather than wearing it, just don't wear anything. By go through it, no? And the surgical mask, although it may protect you, but it may protect you only for like for what can you say, half an hour, 1 hour, if you are in close contact with somebody who is not wearing a mask or in an enclosed environment, because it doesn't form a seal.
True, very true, very true.
So N95 is I think the main thing that people have to understand. And I think just covering the face, it is very simple. I don't know any other disease whose prevention was so simple as that. Just cover your nose and mouth.
Very
End
true,
of discussion.
very
And
true.
still the thing has been dragged on so long, people discussing whether to wear mask, don't wear mask, undergo vaccination, not undergo vaccination. I don't understand.
That what do you suggest people to do now, and what is the best, like you have, as you have already said. So once more brushing up, what is one thing or two things that they can do right and stay them, stay safe from this, keep their family safe from this, and reduce the burden which we have already put on top of, healthcare workers and all the frontline workers. So what are those two or three things which they can do right?
So the two major things that come to my mind, one is I have already said, just put a mask on, and if possible, use an N95 mask. Always see where you are going to remove your mask. Do not remove it inside where people are standing. If you want to drink water, just go outside, keep a bottle with you, drink water, come back wearing a mask. If you want to eat something, first of all, you will not die within 1 hour if you can't wait to go home. But still, if you want to eat, just take the thing that you want to eat, come back into your car, or be separate from the people and eat it. Well, there's a lot of time of socializing if you stay alive. Okay. And number two is, do not believe everything that WhatsApp and social media forward say. It is not absolutely true every time, because if a forward comes or something comes, always ask for the source from the person from where he is telling you. Because 90 times out of the 100, it would be some fake journal or a fake news, or somebody has just put on something, written everything himself and just forwarded it. So just don't believe everything that is forwarded to your groups. Just there is a very simple thing that you can do, and I think everybody would know that is known as Google, right? So you can just go search the same thing on Google, and you will know if it is false or true.
Thank you so much. It was really, really insightful, Dr. Sohail. So yeah, we
Thank you.
really got to know pretty many facts clear with an exclusive interview with Dr. Sohail Malhotra. He's a senior orthopedic. And thank you for coming on board once again for the Voices team. This is Poonam Atreya, thanking you on behalf of the entire team. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me.